Hi, you guys. My name is Rhonda Starling. I'm an author. I've written 3 books, and I just wanted to just come back and just share with you a few things that I was working on. I'm actually going to start posting more videos, more content on just for inspiring writers, just pretty much just helping you for those who desire to write a book. I have gotten so many comments and feedback from people who was like, well, how did you write your book? What route did you take? Who did you publish with? So I just want to come back and just share what worked for me and hope that the tips that and the steps that I've taken will help you. So I hope that the videos will be helpful for those who are watching, and I thank you in advance for watching. So let's get to it. So my desire pretty much for these videos is to help inspiring writers who desire to become authors, all the while helping you from transitioning from becoming an author to becoming your own boss. What you take the time to invest in is what you produce. If you're tired of not living your best life, ready for a reinvention of the best you, let's put your game face on and let's do the work. I believe nothing good comes easy, but self-determination and consistency bring success. So if you're ready, click that like button. Make sure you follow and subscribe as I share great tips on what I have used to help me write these 3 books. And make sure you share this with someone who you know will need this information. So these are my top 10 tips. Of course, I just want to say this. Writing a book is not hard. I believe the main thing is just making sure you just set the time to actually write and do the work. But it's not hard. Many of you may journal and may write a whole bunch of things. That's what I did. When I written my book, I used based on some of the stuff that I put in my journal. So it's not hard, you guys. And you can ask me any questions you like in the comment section. I will make sure I answer. So 10 tips for every inspiring writer. So my first one is recognizing your why. So I actually put that in my third book where I talked about who wants to be an author. Pretty much how bad do you want it. So one of the things that I talked about, why do you desire to write a book? So I would say when I first written my book, I was going through a lot at that time, and I literally sat on my book for maybe a year or two, and I did not put it out. Frustrated, feeling depressed, like I was like, my first of all, my book is a book for motivation and inspiring women, and I was like, how can I inspire someone else if I can't even inspire myself? So I did not put it out. I delayed it. And I know God was telling me to put the book out. So I had finally put it out. And when I came back to write my third book, I heard someone say, you know what, you got to be motivated. You got to recognize your why. So I had came back and I put in the book, recognizing your why. So when you have an understanding of what's your why, like why you want to write a book and desire. So my desire was to write a book to share my story, to help women not to make the same mistakes that I made. So whenever I felt depressed or felt down, that was my motivation to keep pushing. So my tip for every inspiring writer is recognize your why before you start writing a book. So whenever temptations, trials and tests come your way, any setbacks, this will be your motivation to understand that there's a greater purpose behind your assignment and why you want to write that book. So just remembering your why. So whenever life gonna happen, that's just according to life. But when you understand your why, your purpose, you don't allow distractions or any person or thing to get you off course. So your why is what's going to help you stay focused. Your why is going to help you work towards achieving your goals. So when you're inspired to do something, your creativity just flows on a greater level. I like to encourage people. So my books are motivational, in which I'm able to express my thoughts in a way that those who read it will understand. So recognizing your why place you at an advantage not to put out crappy work. Because some people put out some work and I be like, what is that? But when you got a why, you just, oh my gosh, I can't really quite explain it, but you're just so creative and you're so passionate that when someone's reading it, you can just see the passion like in your work. So that's tip number one, recognizing your why. Tip number two, identifying your target audience. Who is the book for? Is it for a certain age group? Is it for a certain region? Is it fictional, non-fictional? Is it a self-help book? Is it a magazine? You have to know your target audience, so that way, when you know your target audience, which is kind of go hand in hand with recognizing your why, who you want to inspire. It don't even have to be a motivational book. It can be a children's book, a certain age. You have to know your target audience because you got to know, like, okay, with my target audience, maybe it's something that you're doing a study on where you may have to do your research and knowing what things to look up, and maybe you doing a study and you may have to ask different age group, like going around asking questions to people. You want to know your target audience because you want to know who you're reaching to, because what I have learned that you're not called to everybody. Everybody have an assignment on earth. I believe God called me to help women, help inspire women through sharing my story and the things that I went through. So knowing your target audience helps determine the kind of books you will write. If you have to research on a specific age group, a religion, or a specific gender, you find a problem. So this is something that I tell people: find a problem and let your story be your resolution. Remember to answer that question to the problem. That's what you use when you're writing your book. So you find a problem. So with me, mine was inspiring women to do better, to become better. So in my book, I've written things that I went through, what I use, and just tips that I believe that will help women to become better. So remember to answer that question, write in that book what makes your book different based on others that have been written, that keeps the self-thought question in mind, helps you stay on track. So if you're writing a self-help book, just giving an example, and you may have seen, like, I love Sarah Jake. She may have a book out. She have a book out called "Don't Settle for Safe." Great book. Maybe she went through some of the same things you went through, but your story is different. You're two different people. What makes your book different from what she put out versus somebody who's reading the book and saying, "Well, I'm going to get Sarah Jake's book." But what makes your story a lot different? So you got to work on being creative, knowing how you can target those audience and kind of pretty much draw them into reading your books. So you got to put things in. So it always goes back to the same thing. You got to grab the reader's attention. What makes your book stand out? And you just got to be creative. Take the time and be creative. That's all a part of being an author, is just your creativity. It's not about being perfect, but just putting the work out and just most of all being yourself. So that's tip number two, knowing your target audience. Tip number three, which is very important, is time management. Say this with me. So I've written this affirmation down. I can do whatever I set my mind to accomplish, and that you can. It is not hard to write a book. It's hard when you don't make the time to put in the work. I have seen many people write novels less than a month. I believe it's very possible for you to put out quality work in a short time period. You don't have to spend months or years trying to write a book. You can do that in a whole month. It is very possible. And you may be saying, well, I can't put a book out if I'm working a job. Well, I work a 9 to 5. I still do. And I put out 3 books. So it's very possible for you to put out a book. One thing I talk about in my books is setting your date to publish ahead of time. So, and a time when you want to finish. So I set 2 dates: a date when I want to publish my book, and when I want to be finished writing and going back to edit my work and doing my book cover. So those 2 dates that I put in, that kind of help me kind of stay on track. So the date when I want to publish would be, like, I may say September the 12th, but I want to be finished by August 31st with writing my books and making any necessary changes that need to be made, and making sure by September 12th everything is set and I can publish my book. So also too, I try not to overwhelm myself with my schedule. I will say that because I have to make sure I leave room for any situations that may not come my way. So not saying that I'm looking for trouble, but I want to make sure I have room that if any setback comes, I'm ready for it. So That's tip number 3, time management. Tip number 4, journal all your ideas. So some days when I'm working or if I'm out and about, most time when I'm driving, a thought may come in my mind. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I can add that to my book. And sometimes shouldn't be doing that, but I may pull out my phone and while I'm driving, put write that idea down, or I may record myself, put the video, and I'll start speaking like that idea out loud because sometimes I may forget things. So I'll just put it in recording, and then when I get home, I'll go back and write it down, or I type it in my phone, or type it in on my laptop. So whenever I'm out and about and an idea just come to me or to you, just write it down. This is where I utilize my note app on my phone. It is so much to type in my notes and email me myself the documents to my file. So you can do it's no proper way of writing. So like I said, when I'm working, I sometimes if I'm writing it down, or I may type it in my phone in a note app. I have an iPhone, so I like to type it in my phone because it's so much easier that when I type it, I can just email it to myself, and then when I pull it up on my laptop from my email, I can just copy and paste and put it in Microsoft Word. But for those who like to write, hey, that's you. Nothing wrong with it. You can go back and write it down, whichever way you like it. Sometimes I do both. I write it if I'm not near my phone and I have a piece of paper and a pen. I just write the idea down and go back and just add it into my Word document. So here's something that always worked for me. Brainstorm for at least 2 minutes. Jot down every idea to the topic or the subject what you're writing about, and when you're done writing, based on what you will come up with, start adding that as your chapters or subtopics or things you want to implement in your book. So those are things that I use to add like to ideas to my book. So that's tip number 4, journal on your ideas. Tip number 5, keep it a secret. So I know most of you, when you're about to write a book, you get so excited about writing a book. But let me tell you, keep it a secret. What I've learned, boss moves to move in secret. You can share this with your close friends, people close to you, but don't share with the world because legal wise, like just legal documentations and different things like that. You don't want to share your idea with someone and they go and take your idea and put another book, put in their book, or use it towards something else. I have seen that happen, and you don't want nobody to take advantage of you. You're vulnerable and you give your information out thinking that these people are for you, and they go back and they take your work. So you want to do it the smart way. You want to keep it a secret. You want to get it on paper. You want to get your copyrights and everything on there. You want to put your book out, and then once you get it out there and you got everything copyright, making sure everything legal so it's all come back to you, then you can share it with people. That's what I do. I don't like to pretty much tell people like all of my business. I like to put it out there so that way I know I'm covered at the end of the day and nobody can steal my work. So that's keep it a secret. Hold on. I'm sorry, I put the rest of my phone, you guys. This is the part where I talked about writing and typing in my phone as well as putting it on there. So let's see. Where did I put this? Oh, hold on. Okay, so number 6, using the room tools. Using tools like apps and different things. So one of my favorite apps that I have on my phone is called Ginger Grammar app. They have it on iPhone. I'm not sure if it's on the Android app, but I think with the iPhone, oh excuse me, that it was $4.99. It's very effective. It gives a basic grammar check. And it kind of helps me out too. So if I misspell something, I forgot to put a comma or a period or something like that, something that I overlooked, the grammar app will definitely like pop up and give you like little red flags, like suggestions on what to put or what needs to be fixed. So I highly recommend the Ginger Grammar app. And let's see, I already talked about typing in my notes in my iPhone and copy and paste. Oh, also too, when you can write down, like sometime I may write a whole paragraph and then I'll copy and paste it to the Ginger app and I'll just kind of go and edit it and try to see. And once I finish editing it in the Ginger app, I go and copy and paste and just email it to me. So what we on? Marketing your plan. So for those who want to self-publish. So depending upon if you're going to publish the book yourself or you're going to publish with a publishing company, most times publishing with a publishing company, they have like a marketing plan in place. But if you're going to self-publish, that's okay. I just say make sure you have a marketing plan. You can, when I self-publish, so my 3 books are written myself. And I will say when good marketing pitch will bring in sales. Of course, most times when you're writing a book, you're a creative writer. Most people are not out, not just thinking about the money. You just want to get your story out and just hope that someone will read it. But here's some things that I believe that will help you. I believe social media is one of the best platforms to really promote via like Facebook, YouTube, WordPress, by blogging and LinkedIn. You can also pay people like for marketing, but for those who want a budget and just want to save money, because like I said, I want to help writers transition to becoming a boss, because when you become an author, you really are becoming your own boss because you have to market and sell your books. So it's almost like you're a business owner. So when you're starting out, of course, you want to save as much money as you can. If you find some people, you have the money and the resources and you can do your own marketing or find someone to do it, that's fine. But I like to teach people on how to save money, how you can do it yourself, how you run your own business, and just different things like that. So using these platforms to promote your book, build your clientele, put your stuff out there, is a great idea. There are so many ways to be creative, think outside the box. Remember, marketing is grabbing the reader's attentions. If you only had one pitch to your book to a large audience. So this is something I written down. If you only had one chance to pitch your book to a large audience, what does that look like? So when you create your marketing plan, I want you to put that question down. If you only had one pitch to your book to a large audience, one marketing pitch, what would it look like? What would you say? What would you do? Be creative. So I want you to write that down and use that as your way of writing down your marketing plan. So having a great marketing plan is very helpful and useful for every creative writer who's desiring to write a book. Here's another thing that I thought was very helpful, and that is properly formatting. So let me tell you something. If you're going to self-publish, so me, my book, I learned through trial and error, publishing on Amazon, KDP, which I love Amazon, love self-publishing. This is not the bad mouth them, just for anyone to no, but these are some of the things that I didn't know that I messed up on, and I just had to learn through the process. So if you want to self-publish on Amazon, make sure your manuscript is properly formatted through Microsoft Word. So sometimes, you can just be typing. Everything looks good on Microsoft Word, but let me tell you, what looks good on Microsoft Word may not look good when you upload it on KDP, because on KDP, they have these little boxes, these little red lines. So when you upload your manuscript, it cut out your words, and then you have to go back to your Microsoft document and fix it. So just imagine you writing a 200 or 300 page book, and you got to go through the whole thing and look at it and make sure nothing is outside the line, and then go back to Amazon KDP and read through all 300 of those pages. Let me tell you, my second book, when I decided to add more pages, it was almost frustrating. There was moments I had to take a break from reading it, because there were maybe 5 times I had to go back through my book, and that was like 200 pages back and forth on KDP and my Microsoft Word. So just to save yourself the time, make sure you properly format is very important. And another thing that goes hand in hand with formatting your manuscript, making sure you format your cover. Not only will KDP, if it's not formatted, they have the sizes on KDP, which I like Amazon does it based on the how many pages you have, what book size cover you want. They have certain little guidelines, the sizes that they tell you so you can know how to format your book. So formatting your book cover, make sure your book cover matches the formatted size listed on Amazon, KDP, self-publishing. Because again, if you don't format it, when you upload it, it's going to cut off the pictures when you print them. And you want to make sure you have everything right. And also to make sure if you're using whichever picture that, like, let's say, like if you're using, what is it called? Photoshop, that you have the 300 KDP, because when I first, my second book, when I was getting the proof to come in mail, they were very blurry, and I was trying to figure out why my pictures are coming out blurry, but it looks good when I upload it. So you want to make sure that the quality of the pictures are great, so that way when you get them, because when Amazon publish your books, they're not going to be suggesting like, hey, this book is published. They're going to publish what you uploaded up there. So you want to make sure you're uploading like some quality work and everything is on point. So here's something extra, because that was tip number 10, but this is just something extra I just wanted to share. Don't try to be perfect. Your first time writing, or just writing anything, do not try to be perfect. When I first started writing my book, I wanted everything to be perfect 100%, but it's okay to be at 80, 85, 90, or 95%, because here's the thing. Not only do you write and you put it out, you can always go back to re-edit. Amazon allows you to go back to fix your work. You can always go back and look at some grammar errors that you may have overlooked. Because let me tell you, when you're writing a book and you have to go back and keep looking at it, at some point, like this is why I tell people your downtime, make sure you take time just to kind of step away, because it can kind of get frustrating when you're having to read your book and go back and fix it if you haven't properly formatted your book. Make sure you take the time to do that. So don't try to be perfect, because like I said, you can always go back and you can fix whatever's error. When you order your proof, you can see what changes needed to be made, and you can go back and fix it. But the thing is, you want to just put it out, because if you keep prolonging, you're going to keep sitting on the book and you're never going to put it out. So don't try to be perfect, but just get it out, because I promise you, somebody needs to hear your story. Somebody's going to be encouraged. Somebody's going to love the work you put out. So don't sleep on it. Don't feel like, well, nobody's not going to read it, because there's so many books that are out there that people are reading. So that's all the tips that I have. I hope that my tips encourage you, and make sure you leave a comment. Tell me what you think. If anything helped you, or if you are a writer, if you are an author, and you have any tips that you believe will help someone, make sure you put a comment. So I hope all is well. Look forward to posting, sharing more contents that I believe will help. Have a great day, everyone.